Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's in session collaboration and artist collectives in the virtual age. My name is Kristen, aka Like Water, and I'm super excited to be your host for today. And we're going to cover all the power that lies within the artist community to inspire and support one another. That's what it's all about, love and support. So I'm joined by some incredible folks. We've got Jen Miller, Black Assets, Teenasai, Peter. We've got some incredible people. So we're going to start with you, Jen. You're at the top of my screen. Can you just share a little bit about who you are and your preferred gender pronouns?
Sure. I'm Jen Miller. My preferred pronouns are she, her. And I'm a producer, I'm an artist, and I'm also the founder of Girl Gang Music, which is a collective focused on raising the visibility of women and gender diverse people in the music industry, on the business and the creative side. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. We're super excited to have you. Next on my screen, we've got Peter. Peter, can you share your preferred gender pronouns and a little bit about yourself as well?
Sure. My name is Peter. I am based here in New York City, and I'm a cabaret artist and performer working with, I've been in an a cappella group in New York City for the last 10 years, and I'm also a part of the company of a theater company here in New York City called On the Keys, where I perform in my drag persona, which her name is Queer Wang.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, if I didn't want to come back to New York before now, I definitely want to come now. Super excited to see that. Thank you, Peter. Next on my screen, we have Tina Sai. Can you share as well about who you are and your preferred pronouns?
Hi, my name is Teenasai Balamu, and I'm also known as GrapeGuitarBox. That's my artist name, and my pronouns are they, them. I am originally from Bangalore, India, but I am currently based out of London, and I play indie, singer-songwritery, and pop music. And I love doing a lot of covers and live shows, and yeah, and you can find my music anywhere online if you look for GrapeGuitarBox. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. This is so exciting. Yes, great guitar box. Check it out for sure. And the last but not least on my screen, we have Black Assets. Can you let the folks know a bit about who you are and your preferred pronoun?
Yes, peace, y'all. Can you hear me? All right, cool. My name is Black Assets. An artist, creative, visionary, curator. Um, Halfway from Itabena, Mississippi, halfway from Baltimore. I've been here half and half now. Um, my pronouns are she, her, bro, and I'm a indie soul singer. I sing soul music, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh,
Awesome.
sorry. I
Oh,
don't do this right every time. Every time I tried to pay attention, tried to write little notes. All right, so I am the owner of a platform called Living Room Social, which is basically an artist incubation station. Also a She Is Music 101, which is an all girls music curriculum and identifying girls music curriculum that just teaches you about entrepreneurship, of affirmations, and just the trueness that you can actually live as an artist and creative. And I think that's all my stuff. Yeah. That's it.
love it. It was definitely an important add-in, so I'm glad that that you did that for sure. Awesome. This is an incredible. I mean, if you guys haven't felt that, it is an incredible panel, and I'm super excited to jump into the conversation. But before that, just got a few things to share with everybody. So we're going to be covering a few topics related to collaboration and artist collectives for the first 45 minutes. And then after that, we're going to have 15 minutes of open Q&A. So if anybody out there has any questions related to what we're talking about or in general, please pop it in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we're going to try our very best to get to the questions after we have our discussion. Also, a few housekeeping items is this is a supportive and uplifting space, definitely. So we want to keep that dialogue and in the chat respectful, and just keep that supportive and uplifting space in our minds as we're conversing. Also, please feel free to use the chat to let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know how you're feeling. We're super excited to be here with you all. And using that chat function, make sure that you change the blue bar from panelists to panelists and attendees so everybody can see your comments, not just the beautiful folks on the screen. And also, if you have any questions, like I said before, there is a function at the bottom of your Zoom screen that says Q&A. You can put it in there. You can submit anonymously or with your name, and we're going to try our very best to get to all the questions. And you will also receive a short survey at the end of this webinar so that you can let us know how we did. You can let us know any additional topics you'd like for us to cover during in session. And yeah, we can't wait to have that happen. So thank you all so much. And we are about to jump right into the meat of the conversation. So how did your first collaboration come to be? Anybody can jump in.
I'm happy to start.
Yep. Awesome.
Honestly, I started making music when YouTube was in its infancy. And so my first collaboration was actually another YouTuber in London, I think. And I just liked his music, and we started becoming pals on the internet, which now is like so regular. That's how we're all here. But yeah, I think it's as easy as that. Sometimes you find someone you have similar love of music and just connect and do it.
Yeah, love that. Love that. It is like a norm now to like have
Right.
Instagram friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Teenasai, I think I saw that you raised your hand, but you can definitely just come off mute if you want.
So the first collaboration that I remember doing was a bit interesting for me. Like, I got in touch with this artist. Like this, basically, it was like a folk music collective in Bangalore in India, and they wanted to do a fundraiser. So they asked me like to come in as a guitarist, and I went there without my guitar because and they were like, why did you turn up here without your guitar? I mean, I was like, oh, I mean, I was so dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say. But eventually the fundraiser got canceled, but I ended up joining them as a folk artist and also an actor, because what they were doing was they were working with folk groups in rural South India, and they would like kind of translate art forms into like for the urban audience. So I joined them, and we were trying to do this whole like play into like 20 minutes, and we were performing it, and it was really interesting because this is like not my forte at all. I'm not an actor. I don't do folk music. So it was like I was kind of thrown into the deep end, but I was working with some really amazing people. So I think I learned as I went, and it was a lot of fun. We did music in a lot of different languages, and we also did we also played a lot of endangered like folk instruments and things like that.
That sounds incredible. And like, don't you love when kind of opportunities kind of flow into other opportunities?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have my guitar today, but now I'm gonna do a whole play in 20 minutes. Like, that is amazing. That's incredible.
To kind of piggyback off of what Tina said, just said, I grew up doing theater, and that's what I went on to kind of pursue in my early adult life. So like theater is all about collaboration. And but like my first professional collaboration, I guess, was when I was probably like 10 actually, and I was a part of the Philadelphia Boys Choir. So being with a group of essentially, I don't know, like 100 boys from the ages of 9 to 15, 16. And we were just like performing a choir, and like it was my first professional setting of working with a lot of different people to create music.
Wow. And
I
that
feel
is
that.
quite an introduction. Yeah.
I feel that. That's similar. I definitely started off in the choir. So I started off in the church choir. My granny and all of them used to just be heavy in the church. So I used to go in there and be like, yo, I love this music, okay? I used to just want to sing and do that thing. I used to be like, put me up there now, okay? I used to be pressed for it. So I started there, and then I lived in McGee, Mississippi as well. And they had a show choir. It's called a McGee, Mississippi show choir, right? It's so country, y'all. And you would just go around everywhere singing your little songs and performing, and we used to We Are the Worlds, and just y'all know how it goes. So it's like you doing a little choreography with it. So that was like that was my first real like deal, and I was just like, oh, I love this. I could do this forever. I could do this forever. And so that was that.
Yes, that sounds so wonderful. Like Peter and Black Assets, that the choir experience is something about like being around a bunch of people that are doing the same but different things, like singing different notes, but the energy is the same. It definitely like opens you up to that collaborative mindset, because I can't do what I'm doing unless you're doing what you're doing. So yeah, that's really, really cool. Um, do you look for anything in particular now that you guys have grown in your collaborative efforts and expanded to different areas, different parts of the music industry and stuff like that? Do you have any particular things that you look for when you're looking for people to collaborate with, like skills, vibes, style, location, anything like that?
The feel.
Mm, go
I
ahead.
need the feel. The feel is so important. If you don't know what the feel is, you gotta feel it. And if you don't feel it, then the feel ain't there. Okay. I really wish I
That
had a
ain't the
better
vibe.
description. Some would say vibe, but for me, it's all about the feel and the intention and your reason why. Once I get past the feel, it's always the reason why. Like, why do you do this? That means a lot.
Yeah, yeah, love that. That vibe in the field.
I would say anytime I have an opportunity to perform in whatever capacity, I'm looking to learn something, whether it be learn something more about the actual art form or learn something about myself. I feel as an artist, like there's always opportunity to actually gain something more. So
Absolutely.
that also helps me gauge if I take on a project or not. You know what I mean? It's like, will this actually add anything to for me?
Yeah, that's huge. Like, you're not looking necessarily for what you can, like what the person has to offer. You're looking for growth within yourself and new opportunities like that. Yes, I'm taking that with me. Thank you, Peter. Anyone else
I
you want to
think I
respond?
can agree with like what Peter was saying, because I tend to have a very short like attention span when it comes to new projects. Like if they don't take off in the first week, I feel like, oh my God, I'll probably forget about them, like it's so bad. But like consistency is my biggest problem, and I think I would really like to learn that from my collaborators. And I love working alone, but like I feel like I grow so much more when I collaborate with people. There's only so much I can do by myself, and that's something that I really look forward to.
Yes, I love that.
I love that. And I think that is so real. Like, there is, of course, you need to have a vibe and to like the people you're working with. Like, it just won't work if you can't tap into that left brain thing and like feel safe to do that. But I also just think that like your collaborators are your accountability buddies, right?
Mm,
Like, once you start
yes.
something together, like I want somebody who's gonna follow up with me, be like, where's the mix? You said you were gonna send the mix. And like I like that. And I know like I have to like a person and we have to have a good energy to be able to do that for each other and to also like give each
Mhm.
other the grace when we miss a deadline or whatever, like that's so I definitely look for consistency too. Totally agree.
Yeah, that makes, I mean, I love that, because you're like, if we're not rocking together, if I don't have that vibe and you hit me up asking about the mix, I'm probably gonna ignore you even more. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna feel different when it's coming,
Right.
but when it's coming from someone that you rock with, you're like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Let me get on that. Yeah, that's so important. I hope y'all are getting these nuggets, because this is real. Loving all of this. So have you all had any collaborations with people who aren't musicians, like other art forms or technology or
Oh yeah.
yeah?
I love that. Like graphic design, visual art, let's see, dance. Um, I absolutely love collaborating with like all types of mediums of art. And it's kind of one of my favorite way of like to have collaborations, especially because I love curating events. So in those spaces, you curate all types of cool things, and you have to have a lot of components. And so people might feel your music and start hula hooping or something, or what I'm saying. It's just like cool things. I love so like absolutely, I love doing that too.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think, or I mentioned in the first question, but like, one of the first collaborations I had was with a folk theater group. So that was a lot of fun, and I think the other kind of collaboration I've done is mostly like, with respect to like filmmakers or like video or animators, and
Mhm.
working with an animator to make like music for kind of figuring out both at the same time was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say most recently, filmed like so the theater company that I'm a part of, they filmed a virtual like queer visual album for Pride. So I like recorded my tracks, and then of course we had to like lip sync it for the music video, and it was just like I've done some film work here and there, but it was interesting to like do it in the setting where I'd never filmed a music video necessarily, so like it was very strange. Also doing it as my queer persona, not queer, sorry, queer wang, my drag persona, which was really strange. So yeah, it was a really fun process. Learned a lot from it. I learned that I also do. No one should be in heels, 5-inch heels for 9 hours.
Lesson learned, right?
That wasn't fun. I learned that for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really, really cool. I think, Jen, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
I think when I think about this, I used to, when I started my career, think I could do everything myself. Like, oh, okay, I'm preparing to release an album. I'll make the art. I'll shoot the music videos. I'll do all this stuff. And then you realize, like, you could do that, but maybe, you're going to end up with better products if you bring in people who are experts at that and you remove some of the burden from yourself. So I always want to collaborate with people. Like, I'm not going to do the graphic design. It's going to look crazy, So I'm going to bring someone in who specializes in that, loves that, I think it really brings a whole other layer to your work.
Yeah. Do you all have any like recommendations for artists that are looking to collaborate? I think a lot of artists don't think about collaboration in that way, like, artwork for your album and, that is a form of collaboration. So do you have any suggestions or recommendations for artists that are looking for collaborations of that sort that don't really have like a huge budget to pay, for a whole project to be done? Any tips on that kind of outreach?
I feel like I understand that space, okay? I understand that space and it is totally doable, okay? Like I feel like Issa Rae was saying we be looking up sometimes to network instead of just looking at
Mhm,
where we are and like our
mhm.
friends. Like I don't know if some artists like we have collaborators like our friends are usually sometimes artists and creatives of different mediums. So me and my friends, we made a pact, right? And we said, you know what? We're not charging each other, okay? And if we're just gonna have our split sheets together, and when we blow up, this is what's gonna happen. Okay. So like if I need like some type of keys that I can't do, I'm calling Tyler Moonlight. If I need a film shot, I'm calling Cam Do Art. If I need like there's so many things, you know what I'm saying? And if someone needs something written, someone needs somebody to sing something, you want me to play the little ukulele? Bet copy. You know what I'm saying?
I
So we're
got
gonna
you.
use each other in that capacity. And it's not even like using for real. It's like y'all are building your brand. You guys are growing in the craft and you're doing the real work for real. You just are lucky enough to have a team already there so that you aren't outsourcing or like putting yourself in a hole just for one project. You know what I'm saying? We put so much investment into this work that by the time all of the odds and ends are together, can you really celebrate it? You know what I'm saying? You in the hole. It's just
You
like, okay,
spent.
my heart and soul, my money, my finances, rent due in 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So it's just like talk to your friends. Like, let's work. And really, Instagram is a tool. Like for real. And these shows are a tool. People are in the audience. Collab, like network, and just do it. It's possible. It's possible on a
Yeah,
budget. It's so possible. I
I
swear to
love
God.
that. Yes, and yes. Shout out to Issa Rae for that quote. Look around. Yes, love that. Any other recommendations or tips for folks? I mean, that was a huge nugget, Black. So yeah.
I
I
was gonna
feel that.
I was gonna say like a great way is like to also look for other artists that are in that you're like that you align with in terms of like where
Mhm.
you are financially or whatever it may be, and look who they're using. Because I guarantee you, like if they're working within a budget and you're working within a budget, they're clearly going to be using resources and collaborators that are also within that same budget, right? So like it's a great way to
Mm.
just kind of see across the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And are there any boundaries that you all set when it comes to collaborating or who you don't collaborate with? Like if someone reaches out and say, hey, I'd love to work with you. Do you have any set kind of boundaries when you're, for the artists that you say no to?
I
The eyes are
personally
telling it
do.
all.
I do. I mean, like if somebody hits me up and I listen to their music and the message isn't really what I want to exude or participate in, I've went so far to say exactly why. Like,
Mhm.
like you have songs out that are kind of misogynistic. That I don't really rock with that. But keep
Mhm.
going. If you come back with something a little more wholesome, like maybe we can work it out, And then the other thing I would say is like the vibe. So if somebody approaches me that I don't know and they're immediately asking for things, you might be trying to use me for something. So, I feel that out and try to get FaceTime with those people to see if that's like a real thing or just a gut thing.
That makes sense. And usually it's one and the same, the real and the gut,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But I want to give them the
But yeah,
benefit of the doubt.
absolutely.
So, a Zoom meeting or phone call, something just to suss it out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Love
you
that.
speaking to discernment. I absolutely agree with that. You have to use your discernment when you are collaborating. And like the intention, like you said, people are some things just aren't for you. I mean, y'all ain't for everybody, but I'm for some, and vice versa, and that's just what it is. And I don't think anything is wrong with that really, but I do think like there's this thing around like reaching out to artists who are just in a different space than you are, and there's like a certain pressure or a certain thing, so you might not know how to reach out or how to collaborate. But like I kind of feel like sometimes, like when I shoot my shots creatively. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna be another DM like, hey, real quick, I just wanted to say, how you doing, Miss Jill? You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But like I'm probably gonna, I don't know, maybe sing a cover somewhere or like and post it and maybe tag them and like build a rapport in some type of creative way and just like trust the process and trust where you are. Like, and also no does not mean that you are trash. No just mean I'm about to work a little bit harder, especially if you really want that, or you got to go in a different direction. I feel like just take that as like love and not like this horrible thing. So like, don't look at us like if I reach out, he's not going to collaborate with me, but just like, it's going to be, if it's going to be, if it's meant to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in terms of other boundaries, like I probably have like I agree with both of like what you both said. And like one other thing is like in a more logistical way, I think if I'm not able to see the same level of commitment in terms of time or like something that we agreed upon, or like, and if we go down like the road further, like until the place where we're probably talking about a contract or like figuring out how we split something, or if we don't see eye to eye, then that's definitely like a boundary for me. Like I think after a few back and forths, if it's still not happening, I'm probably not going to be comfortable. But the most important like boundary is definitely um if I'm not able to kind of vibe with them on the same wavelength, especially being like a non-binary trans person. I've learned from some of my mistakes, I think. Like a few years ago, I ended up working with a team of like cis hitmen who didn't really have knowledge of like the LGBTQ plus community, and they were like pretty covertly homophobic. And I was like, in the middle of the project, I was like, why am I doing this? And like I just had to get done with it and move on. But I had to spend so much of my energy and like give so much of my labor into explaining why something was not okay. And I was like, I shouldn't be doing this, like it's not my job. Like I'm happy to do it, but in the middle of this, I don't know why I'm doing this. So that's probably definitely a hard boundary for me at this point.
Hmm. Yeah, that I feel that that makes total sense, and it speaks to what like assets and Jen, excuse me, Jen was talking about. Sometimes we got to do the research too. Who are these people that are reaching out, and because
That's
yeah,
offensive too.
that
Like
can
if
be
you
a
don't
lot.
research somebody,
Absolutely.
that's offensive. That can hurt, Like I know how cringy that felt. I feel that like you never want to be in a set. I don't know. I think like when you were talking at first, Jen, when you're shooting your shot and it's kind of like people are shooting maybe for clout or because your song was cool that day or because you got I don't know how many views on your last thing. It's just like you don't even know who I am. You don't even know what my discography is or one song. You can't even sing a hook. You know what I'm saying? Not saying you gotta sing a hook, but dang, can you like listen to us? Like, do you really even care for real? You know? And it's just like it's so intentional when someone actually pays attention to you as the creative and really wants to collaborate, because not only are you this gift and have this talent, but like also like I like what you stand for, like what I don't know, like what you're putting out here. Never will you should you ever make someone feel uncomfortable like that in a session. And it's so common in our field, like the level of like misogyny and just like homophobia and just I don't know, just people being hella rude for what? You know, and it's just these egos, and it's just hard. And I just want to live by dismantling that with every being of my little soul, because I hate it. I can't stand it all. And we need to just feel better and just make music. We are gifted. Let's just do the thing and be the gift,
Yeah,
maybe, you know?
absolutely. Yes, and yes. So we're going to shift into artist collectives. Have any of you all been a part of artist collectives or started in artist collectives? I know you were talking about your incubator, Black Assets, and Teenasai with the theater, folk theater company. So can you just shed a little bit of light on how that came to be, or any advice for artists that are looking to join or start one?
Peter, I
Um,
feel like I've been rapping. Oh, y'all want to
no,
go?
go ahead, go ahead. So I did not start an artist collective. Instead, I basically found myself in one. Even then, I would say like for the first almost like a year or so, it was somebody else's, like project that they were doing, which I joined and I was just a part of. And what I was really lucky to do was we were in the very initial stages of figuring this thing out, because there's a lot of complexities and nuances when it comes to when you're talking about something as specific as like folk theater, especially from like a village like in Karnataka, somewhere in India, because this is associated to groups of people who have developed it over time and we can't appropriate it. So, and especially, this is especially important because it's associated to a particular part of it's related to a bit of religion, but it's also related to trans people, specifically trans women of that region, who have co-opted this part of religion to kind of feel more like themselves and practice these art forms as a form of busking and earn money and things like that. So when we first brought it to like the theater space, we were like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, I don't know, it just didn't feel right, like after the first few shows, we were like, it feels kind of wrong. Like, I don't think the audience is understanding the significance of this. And we feel like we shouldn't be doing this. So eventually, I think I would say it turned into a collective when we didn't have a space to practice in. So what we did was I was far away from the person I was collaborating with, the main person in the city. So I was like, let's meet at this massive park in the middle of the city. So we started like just the both of us early in the morning, like each I don't know, like almost every day or every other day, we'd meet at the park and practice like folk instruments and folk songs. So the people be walking around and they'd be like, hey, what's going on? So that's how we kind of started the collective. Like slowly, like people would just you know join us or like ask about us and turn up the next day and learn these songs, which my collaborator was mostly teaching us and everything. And over time we were able to kind of raise funds and bring the actual people from the villages to come and teach us, and also put on shows where they would be performing instead of us. And that's like I think that's probably the main and like the most major artist collective that I've worked with and that I can think of. I'm no longer a part of it right now. It's been a while, but yeah.
That's an incredible evolution into something like so intentional. That's like, yeah, that's incredible. I'm just like visualizing it. Not that I've ever been there. Um, so thank you for that. Absolutely. Anybody else have an experience to share, or um, ideas or tips on how to start or join a collective that you're interested in?
Yeah, I can definitely share. I've been in the music industry for like a decade, so at this point, it's almost like all of my friends are. It's like it's a big collective. But when I was living in DC, I ended up making friends with an engineer at a studio there. named Jake Vicious. Jake and I became really good friends. And then suddenly this studio, you know, was kind of the artist collective for us, right? And from there, like, I linked with people that I would write with. I linked with videographers. I learned a lot, like constantly, because everyone around is just making things. And also gave that sort of hustle culture thing that's like in a healthy way, not in a bad way, but in a healthy way. And then in January of this last year, I was getting hit up nonstop by people just because of COVID, like, they're looking for a mix engineer or they're looking for a keys player, but everything's remote at this time during the pandemic. So I launched an artist incubator to just connect people and let people set their own rates. So like someone come to me and they're like, oh, I need a mix engineer. And I'm like, here's 10 people who I've worked with, I know are dope. You reach out to them and you negotiate like what you pay, if you pay, whatever. I'm just the connector. And like that's turned into like a whole network of people. Like 2 of them are in town in Nashville this weekend playing a show together that we connected. And it's just awesome. I think it doesn't have to be as formal as it may sound, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That sounds incredible. And what a transition, you know, seeing a need during COVID, like people now can't be in the same space meeting each other. So I'll connect the folks that I know, which is a beautiful thing because not everybody is willing to share their network either. So
I think that that's a mistake. I think you should share your network, especially if you really believe in the people, because you're helping 2 people at once when you do that.
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
authentic to me. That's true authenticity. And it speaks to just like you believing in yourself enough to never, you know what I'm saying, push someone else aside. You know what I'm saying? You're not that insecure with your work. You're solid in self to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to create an opportunity for you. And I feel like that's, you know, when I think about just all of my collaborations, they usually come from some type of collaboration from before. And then you just like, oh, okay, that was cool. You know, I liked your voice. We was vibing at the thing. So boom, let's go. And it's so chill. Like you said, it's not this big, huge thing that you think it is. It's really just like I don't know, like we was in the same room the other night and we was all just happened to have a jam session and then, hey, we're in this collective now because we collectively do this thing. And it's so dope. And I think like I have this platform, like I said, it's called the Living Room Social. It is an artist incubation station that started as like this live music thing that happened in my house. In my living room, it was renting out a basement and we lived in the basement and every year for my birthday, all my friends are artists. So we just want to come over and play music, eat, you know, sip a little something, chill, and we gonna sing songs. We all sing. So like my friend Tommy J on the keys, my friend Gabe on the bass, and I'm gonna sing some songs, you gonna sing some songs, we gonna have a good night. And it grew into this thing that we opened up to the world and to Baltimore and just like to just a few other areas. And we was just like, people actually enjoy coming together in community and we actually enjoy being artists and we actually enjoy sharing with each other and we actually enjoy producing music and putting it out and like sharpening iron. And I think it's so authentic because it's not something you went to go intentionally do. It's just where you were supposed to be at that time and you did that thing and it was magical and that's exactly what it was supposed to be. So like when I think of collaboration, I think it's going to happen for you if it's meant to. It's absolutely going to happen, and you're going to be exactly where you're supposed to be. The people who feel you and need to hear you, they're going to see you, they're going to feel you, and they're going to want to work with you. So I think like walking in your field, you don't have to keep shooting your shot all the time because you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Like you already be at the table, not just there at the table, but actually being a part of it. So like that's my spill on
Love that.
collaboration.
Yeah, that is super important. And I think that kind of connecting what you all were talking about with these very in the moment forming something way bigger than you knew in that very moment is super important. Similar to like the looking up versus looking around. It's like sometimes this moment that you're in will be the start of something way bigger. So kind of like live in it, be in it, absorb it all, enjoy it. Um, and when you were talking about the collective that kind of formed Jen, with the studio and having friends and things like that, is there like a point in which there was like an agreement when you all were in each other's space where like split sheets were happening or contracts were being made? Is that a part of any of the processes that you all are in? And if so, where does that come in?
I think that was for some people who are working at the studio. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just like backdoored it and just made friends with the Jake and then managed my own split sheets. But I think that it is however you want things to go. I think there's a benefit to having those conversations up front in certain circumstances. I think that there's a lot of people I work with now that like we know how our splits are gonna look. Like it's gonna be how many people were in the room, 100% divided by that, And so it just kind of depends on the relationship with who you're working with, I think.
I love that. Straightforward. Absolutely. Awesome. And do you all prefer any like when you're file sharing, especially now that things are virtual, although they're opening back up, do you have any method for sharing files? Do you prefer like WeTransfer, Dropbox, Disco? Do you have a kind of go-to that helps along in the process of sharing files?
Like one of my friends has Dropbox, somebody has WeTransfer, someone, you know what I'm saying? Whoever has the thing is who's gonna get the stuff. And where my stuff is gonna go is wherever the most space is. On my hard drive, like I had whoever sent it the way is what I have, so I feel like you just kind of become familiar with all the little systems in there, and if it works for you, stick with the thing. I have an app, I think, for a lot of them, so I'm just gonna be prepared. I don't think I have one that I'm just all the way I go to, but like WeTransfer and Dropbox, I see a lot of those.
Awesome. Yeah. Jen, you came off mute.
I feel like they all have their purpose, right? Like Disco is something that I use heavily for like sync licensing, because that's sort of like the platform music supervisors like. Dropbox, I will bounce all my stems on Dropbox if I think the person's going to take a while to get to it, because WeTransfer expires after 2 weeks. And like, as an engineer, it makes me so crazy. People be like, hit me up like, hey, I saw the stems expired. Will you send them again? I'm like, well, there goes 20 minutes of my life doing that again. So like, if they're not going to get it, then Dropbox, it just lives there whenever they get to it. Cool, But another cool thing, I don't know if anybody works in Ableton works with Splice, and you can share like your live whole session with people. So if I'm working with anyone on Ableton, that is just like my choice, because it's easy and it's all right there and it's nice.
Dropping gems, Jen. Yes, thank you. Everything has its purpose, and I do work at Ableton, so I'm gonna have to get on Splice and see what's going on over there, because
it's
really,
dope.
really dope.
It's very cool.
That's a silent killer right there. That little share, that's a situation for sure.
Absolutely. So now that, like I said before, like the world is opening up in certain places, and we've kind of morphed ourselves into the virtual space when we needed to. What aspects of the virtual collaboration will you continue even when you're able to like be in space with other people? It's like, good question.
I think making the spaces available for just virtually, I'm starting to incorporate just in my own individual like events and things that I do, little performances, just having an opportunity for people to see the show and experience it. Like for the first time during this whole COVID thing, like my family down south got to see me perform, more than they have ever. And I'm just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? I got family in different, places. And, I'm just like, wow, the fact that we can bridge that gap like that, I never thought about. And it was something that was so easy. It's always been kind of around. We just never really used it, I would say. So I want to keep that around as much as possible. And just like the opportunities and the things that come with having things virtually, like if you have a show and you have capacity, there's a whole nother area to build income just with selling virtual tickets too. So it's like, you don't want to put yourself in a hole. I feel like we have so much space now to just like make our field lucrative for us and, make it make sense for real too. We're connecting our people, but also like we're building wealth in this field in that way too.
I feel like the virtual space has given me an opportunity to work with people, like who I probably wouldn't have worked with for a long time. Especially like, so after I moved to London, I had like, most of my career based out of India. So obviously in the very beginning of it, like the pandemic hadn't happened yet. And it was a bit difficult to kind of navigate a new like a new city, I mean a new country and its music industry and everything. And but by the time it was 2020, everything was happening online. Like I got to play at like, for example, like Pride in Toronto and San Francisco and like things like that, which I mean I wouldn't have even dreamt of, like, you know, applying for or doing. And one of the most important things is I've not even met some of these people, but I've had like a chance to collaborate with them and like make music. Like in the case of like the animator I worked with, I've never met her in my life, but like, you know, got the opportunity to do it. And I'd say I'd really love to preserve that and still do that.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna say one, like to echo what both of you said, is like, yes, the streaming aspect is amazing, because like I had the same thing like when I was doing concerts on Zoom and whatnot, where like family that were in California that would have never seen me perform live finally got a chance to do it. But in doing that, also like uh, being in an a cappella group during like a choir setting during COVID was really, really rough. We rehearsed on an app called not Band Lab. Oh my God, what is it called? It's been so long, I can't remember what it's called anymore. But Jamulus. Does anyone know what Jamulus is? Oh, like you literally can rehearse at the same time. Like, so we were able to sing together virtually, but there, of course, there was always a lag. So like I never heard what we sounded like until it was mixed in like a final product when we were making virtual content to put on like Instagram and things like that. So I don't ever want to do that again. Like that was just the most like, it's one thing that if you're a solo artist and of course you can sing to a track or sing accompany yourself, and like produce all that and behind the scenes. But when you're dependent on singing with people, it's so hard to do it virtually because like of the different variables that come in terms of like internet and whatnot. But yeah, the streaming capability is amazing. Like I love that. Like we have my acapella group, the Lost Keys. We have a performance coming up in September. We're performing here in New York, but the space that we're in has full capability to stream. So we're gonna have a certain capacity within the church that we're performing in, but then it's going to be streamed at the same time, which is so exciting. And yeah, just super excited to see like how that continues to grow, like that space continues to grow beyond this.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, that sounds like quite an adventure trying to sync a bunch of voices together to sound
And you can't be Latin, you
cohesive.
can't sing full out. You have to like I had to whisper sing for like a year and a half essentially on like my sad little microphone. It was ridiculous.
Talk about control. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that that's really, really cool. Like to get in the mind space of not having to choose. Now that we're open to all of the amazing things that are happening with technology, and we are savvy because we had to be. Now we can use it all. So yeah, big ups for that. So we're gonna jump right into the Q&A. We have some questions that came through, so I'm just going to shout them out and yeah, feel free to jump in. So we have a question for Jen. How may I apply to join your connection circuit? How can they be a part of your network?
Sure. You can look up the Indigo Inc. It's at the Indigo Inc. on all socials, or email editor at theindigoincubator.com. And yeah, we'll just let me know what you do, what you're looking for, any like links to your work. If you don't have work, cool, just say that, because I'm going to ask immediately after, and we'll see what we can do and connect you. And this is open to anyone everywhere, because like the idea was established during COVID to try to facilitate collaboration with whoever can help wherever.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. And we have an open question. Do you all think that songwriter splits should look different if one artist is far more established than their co-writer? Is the more established writer helping the other one out and therefore should have a greater percentage in the split?
So hear me out, right?
Everybody's face.
Hear me out, right? Okay. So listen, we all did the work, right? Now cloud is a thing, followers is a thing. Okay, it's wonderful. But like there have been large artists just do their 30% of the song like it was nothing, like literally be a collaborator. And I personally don't think that is something that I'm super attracted to. Do I think I would be open to open to it right now in my space? I'm thinking about a collaborator I would love to collaborate with. I would love to collaborate with Miss Jill Scott. I would love her to bring me right on down to Nashville and say, "Come on, Black, I want you to sing with me." And I'm gonna say, "Girl, yes, I'm coming." And I'm gonna be like, "All right." And so she's gonna say, "I want 60% of X, Y, and Z." And I'm gonna say, I'm probably gonna say yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Why? Because like that is a personal goal for me. You know what I'm saying? So that is something that I'm personally going to invest in. So I'm gonna look at it in the likeness of I'm investing 10% of my earnings to collaborate with this person. Now, if we all did this work and someone is just like, "Oh, well, I got 10,000 more followers than you, so X, Y, and Z, boom, I get more cuts." I'm just like, what? That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? We did the work. Let's just, I like going into the room and like you said, it's 10 people here. So we're going to have a 10. That's how we're going to do it. Everybody get their little percent. It's okay that way. It makes sense that way. And it makes everybody feel valuable. And every piece is valuable. I don't think that any piece is more important. Now it does change if someone wrote the whole song or, if someone produced the whole, if they're like it changes in different ways. And I think you have to look at it that way when it comes to splits. If someone came in solely to do, what I'm saying, the hook, and you produced and wrote majority of the, you have to make that make sense for you. You have to like fairly split that out, in my opinion. But it's a little, I don't know what the word is for how it can be, but it can absolutely be that word. It can be a little strange when it comes to splits for some, if the rapport isn't there, if the trust isn't there, if the safe space isn't
Absolutely.
there.
I think you just like spoke my mind. Like that's exactly what I wanted to say because just objectively, like, looking at the question, I would say no way. Like, no, I mean, I don't know, it's just not fair. Like, people could be more established for certain reasons. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that, they're a much better songwriter or like, they're much better or something like that. Could just be a product of their privilege, like that's probably why they're more established sometimes. And so like I'd say, like, what Black Essence was saying, like with respect to your own personal choice and the analogy of like an investment, probably I would do the same thing if I had the opportunity to do something like that. But objectively, I'd say no. We should split it equally if you've done the same amount of work, and use other parameters to figure out, what our splits should be, and not like cloud.
Yeah, love that. All right, next question. How do you navigate disputes around publishing splits when it comes to placements with co-writers? If anyone has experience.
Oh, I would love to talk about that. So it depends on the placement, right? Let's start there. So let's say I have experience with placing something on a Drake album. You have no control, like full stop. I mean, they have all the power in that situation. You want your song on there, and you and your co-writers need to work it out because their label is not going to listen to you. Their lawyers don't care. And it is literally advantageous for you guys to get your paperwork aligned and agree and get the song on there, right? So in that case, you should just work with your partners and know that you're both going to benefit from just working together. And I think in other disputes where it's just, one of you is going to release it, something like that, an indie type of thing, I always go back to this point. We all participated in making this. We all benefit if it comes out. If we don't agree, we can't release this, right? So, like the teamwork thing, like that's what I always come back to. And I think like that's why the vibe when you're working with people is so important, because you need people who are similarly non-competitive and have like an abundance mindset and aren't, thinking about like who had 2 pieces of pizza and who had 6,
Jen, the abundance mindset.
The foundation.
Seriously.
Man.
And holding
I hope
everybody
y'all are getting this.
accountable with not putting that project out if we don't agree. That's real.
And that's
Like, you want the music to get out there, but for real, if we can't come to the conclusion, if we can't figure it out in here, if this thing blow up, what we gonna do on the outside? We can't even leave the studio, you know. So I feel that. I understand. Yeah, I love that. I love that point.
Yeah, it sounds like you all are driving home at least, but by the end of the session, have some sort of split sheet. That I feel like that's what we're advocating for here is you may not want to start with it, but before we leave, let's get an understanding.
Always.
Ne Next question. Uh, I'd love to know what a stage in the collaborative writing process you decide what percentage of each song each writer contributed. Oh, we kind of talked about that already. Split sheets ish, like which stage. So I think that was like depends on the flow. Sometimes it's in the beginning, but hopefully before the session is over and everybody leaves. Is that an accurate kind of lump up?
It depends on if they talking
Awesome.
about like something right then and there, or if it's like a project that you guys are going back and revisiting. Because some people leave the studio and you won't ever go back. You know what I'm saying? The song is done. So if you are entering some type of situation where you are in a collaborative space and the maybe you're in a bigger room than you're usually in or something, and what if you don't have the voice or something to say X, Y, and Z? Or I can't say, hey, let's do some split sheets. And people they're gonna look at you like, girl, if you don't, you know. So I think that's a hard place to navigate. I don't necessarily have all the answers for that exact space, but I know that space exists. And either in my own experience, I've come in prepared, and like one of the greatest advice that I've received was to get a entertainment lawyer, and they kind of speak a different language than you do sometimes and put you in other spaces. And it's not like a thing where you got to be expensive, because in Baltimore, Maryland, you know, they have them by the state for free. You know, and if you want to grow and have, you know, greater opportunity, and you grow and figure out how much you can afford. But that was one of the greatest things I learned, because it helps me have a voice when I feel like, okay, these people are more established than I am. These people have more plaques, more things, and I am just going in here as a novice. And they are laughing at my little printout of my split sheet or my little document sending thing. It's laughable, and I hate it. But at the end of the day, that's a reality. So on the indie level, the split sheets can happen organically. They can happen first, like we said. They can happen at the end, right before the project is due. Just as long as you have that thing done, it's possible. But if you're going into a greater opportunity, then I think you should protect yourself, because this is your business. Some of us, this is our purpose. This is our soul. This is the thing that is like air to us. So it's like, protect that.
Absolutely. And I'll definitely be connecting with you on the state provided entertainment lawyer. Awesome. Next question, we're going to try to get this question done before the end. In the South and high non-vaccinated populations, I guess, still not safe to do indoor unmasked event for fully vaccinated folks. What platform do you use to sell virtual tickets? How do you advertise? And the church space sounds great, Peter. Um, if you don't have that set up yet, is a single camera feed feasible? So we can, I guess, start with the first bit. What platform do you use for virtual tickets? Do you have a go-to?
Oh, Eventbrite has been consistent in my life. I feel like it's I feel like it's an industry standard, but I've never used anything else. So, back in the day, I guess when we first started, it was Facebook, and it was like, pay us at the door, so and so will be at the back at the entrance.
Yeah,
Here's your red ticket, here's
absolutely.
your drink ticket. But yeah, nowadays we use Eventbrite.
Awesome. Yeah, and how you advertise for the virtual shows?
By any means possible and often. You know, it all comes down to your network, right? So whether it be your social media following, or really like for my group, at least, like we have a solid like amount of followers here in New York City, but like we depend on them to like share with their friends, and it's always about like our friends bringing their group of friends and making it like an evening of some sort, or some sort of like plan that they have. So like just making sure that you have a rapport with whoever your network is, so that they continue to network for you. So just like share, and you know, sometimes it can feel like you're almost being too annoying about it or aggressive about it, but like at the end of the day, like you want to share your art, and ideally, you know, someone's going to enjoy it. So like overshare until you get the success that you need from it.
Love it. Yes, you want to get it out there, share it with the folks. Does anybody else have any virtual platforms that they use for ticket sales? No, everybody rocking with the Eventbrite. Boom, done and done. I think we can squeeze in one last question. We have, how do you define blow up and formalize what happens when that happens? So when you say you don't have to pay them until you blow up, what does blow up mean, and how do you establish kind of those parameters and what will happen if that happens?
We all took it. I feel like we all took our mute off. That's funny. For me, I'll make it short thing. For me, I think when I can eat off the project, like when the dividends are in the account, and you're just like, oh, okay, now we can actually. It's not $20. Y'all want the five now, or what I'm saying. Let's not do that. But like, to me, when I say blow up, I mean I'm able to self-sustain in my career as an artist, as a musician, as a vocalist, as a performer. I can sustain in that way. Great. I don't know if it's the same for everyone. Because some people, I don't know if it'll look like a thing like via social media or something. It might not look like that, because some people may have like 200 followers on Instagram but have streaming millions. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different. It's different for like every, I think, artist. And I don't think it should be measured to like where we're looking at like famous artists and like famous. That's not a true measurement, because most of the artists that I truly look up to are living currently as artists, having a great time. Okay, like life is, I'm actually able to eat and take care of my family, the split sheet, like this is regular life for them. So I think when you're able to self-sustain off of your craft, for me, that's when I break down. That's when we blow up. That's when we're able to get those splits and everybody's able to take a piece that is influential to their pockets or their life, or more than they had before, truthfully.
Love that. And I saw a few more. Yeah.
I agree. I just want to say that, like, when we say blow up, the interesting thing about just even sustaining yourself, like, not to be a Debbie Downer, but that is less than 1% of the United States population who is able to live full time off of being an artist. So this is just a reminder that, like, the clout you see on Instagram, on whatever, a billboard cover or whatever, like, they still might not be one of those less than 1% people who are able to live full time off music. So, like, we got to keep that in mind. Like, what is blowing up really the goal? If that's the goal, maybe music's not the vibe for you, to be honest, right? Like, it's a long shot.
Absolutely. Tina,
I'm gonna talk about the second part of the question, about what happens when that happens. So usually when I go into a collaboration, even if like we're probably not gonna make any money out of it, I as long as there's a potential of like monetizing it at some point, or even if you're gonna make like $5 or something, from it. I like to go in with the understanding right from the get-go, like, right in the beginning, we're gonna talk about this, because I've had like a couple of people who've tried to kind of be like, oh, we'll see when we get there, but usually like I've had like not great experiences with them. Like when we do get there, it's not very clear, it's a bit shady, and like I don't personally appreciate that. So I would like to have the clarity, like when we start. So I'll be like, okay, so we're gonna do this, and would you be comfortable, let's say, like signing a contract, or like talking about an agreement, because I think that protects the both of us, like it's good for the both of us. So so no matter what it is, like we make $5, $500, 5 million, yeah, right. But anyway, I get what I'm saying. So I feel like that's something that protects you at every step of the way. So I'd suggest, like, if you are looking to collaborate, maybe talk about that if you think there's a potential of you're making money at some point. And credits, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, yes, and yes. Man, this has been jam-packed full of gems, as Aaron said in the chat. Feels like he was in a jewelry store, all the gems that were dropped. So thank you, Black Assets. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Teenasai. Thank you, Jen, for your insight, for your energy, for the gems that you all were dropping. This was absolutely incredible. Thank you all for submitting the questions in the Q&A. Super, super insightful, and we're super happy to be able to answer some of those questions for you all. The next in session is August 12th. It's on Mixing 101 with Dot. So please head over to our Eventbrite and register for those just like you did for this. And I am like Water, Kristen as well. And I'm super excited that we were able to spend this time together. Thank y'all so much. This was incredible. I truly appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, this was fire.